right, let's take a look at the quiz yourself exercises for section 12.3. Explain in your own words the meaning of permutation 8 choose 3 and find the permutation of 8 choose 3. The permutation of 8 choose 3 is to take 3 items from the 8 items and line them up in a straight row. Or the book uses the word line. Line them up in a straight line. So that order matters. The permutation of 8 choose 3 in our notation is 8 factorial over 8 minus 3 factorial, which is 8 factorial over 5 factorial. Expand and cancel. Oops. We have 8 times 6, 8 times 7 times 6, which is 336. So the permutation of taking 3 items from the 8 that you have and forming a line out of them, you would have 336 ways of doing that. Let's take a look at Quiz Yourself. Question number 8. How many 5-person committees can be formed from a set of 12 people? Well, we know this is a combination problem of 12 choose 5, where 12 is the number of people that we have, and 5 is the number of people that we're going to choose to form the committee. The reason we know it's a combination is because there's no distinct roles. There's no vice president, president, treasurer. There's nothing like that going on. So the notation is 12 factorial over 5 factorial times 12 minus 5 factorial. Because if you recall, the formula for combination is permutation divided by the r factorial. So you'll see here the permutation formula for 12 choose 5. And then we also divide by the r factorial. All right, let's continue our problem. 12 factorial divided by 5 factorial times 7 factorial, which I could have taken out of the parentheses at that point. Let me do a little erasing because this takes some space. Okay. All right, what we have here is 12 times 11 times 10 times every number less than it, every whole number, until we get down to 3 times 2 times 1. That's 12 factorial. 5 factorial is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And 7 factorial is 7 times 6 times 5, 3 times 2 times 1. Now through cancellation, we will reduce. We have the whole 7 factorial in the top and the bottom, so we can definitely cancel that. And now we have factors like 5 times 2, which is 10, and 4 times 3, which is 12. We are left with having to compute what 11 times 9 times 8 is. 72 times 11 which is 792. There's 792 ways to form a 5-person committee out of 12 people. What is the 7th row of Pascal's triangle? They're asking us in Quiz Yourself 9. Well, we'll need some rows of the Pascal's triangle. So the way we form a Pascal's triangle is to start with a 1, imagine a space to the left and to the right, and below that, write a 1. Now, I want you to imagine there's a space, and we can help ourselves imagine, right? So there's a space in between the numbers and to the left and the right of the beginning and end. Right below that yellow space, then what I need for you to do is begin your next row. It always begins and ends with a 1. So we begin with a 1. And then in our next yellow empty space below, we're going to sum the digits 1 and 1 to get a 2. And now we end with a 1. Let's move our highlighting down so we can take a look. Now we have spaces between the numbers and in front and behind, right? These are below these are where we will write our next row. We always begin with a 1, and now we're going to sum the 1 and the 2 to form a 3. Sum the 2 and the 1 to form a 3, and end with a 1. So now that you have a little hang of it, let's just try to fill some out. So we have a 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. 3 plus 3 is 6. 4 plus 1, 3 plus 1 is 4. And we end with a 1. It's starting to form a triangle, right? The number of the row is actually the first non-1 digit. So right now we're doing row 6. And finally row 7. 1, 7, 21, 35, 35, 21, 7, 1. seventh row of Pascal's triangle is the row that's first non-one entry is a 7. How many subsets of size 3 are there in the 7-element subset? Now, we count the number 1 as the 0th entry or the 0th row, whichever one you're starting to look at. So if we're talking about rows, we start counting at 0. Right? N equals 1, N equals 2. Row 3. Right, so N is your row number. We start counting at row 0. R is also a position. It's the position in your row. So N is the row number, R is the position in the row. So if you're looking for the combination of N choose R, and that is 7 choose 3, then you go to the 7th row and the 3rd entry, but the 3rd non-1 entry, because again, the first entry in our world is the 0th entry. So 0th entry, 1st entry, 2nd entry, 3rd entry means that 35 here is our answer. The N equals 7th row, R equals 3rd entry. Write the numbers in the 3rd row of Pascal's triangle using the combination of N choose R notation. Let's draw ourselves the 3rd row of Pascal's triangle. This is row 3 of Pascal's triangle. The first non-1 entry is the 3. And as we saw on the last slide, then this is row 3, entry 0. This is row 3, entry 1. Excuse me. Row 3, entry 2. Row 3, entry 3. So the combination of 3 choose 0 is 1. There's only one way to pick nothing, no matter how big your group is. The combination of 3 choose 1 is 3. There's only 3 ways to pick one thing from 3 items. That's to pick one of the 3 things. The combination of 3 choose 2 is also 3. And the combination of 3 choose 3 is 1. So here, reading down our list, you can see the row in Pascal's triangle.